2002. We're in a big operation. 4 or 5 days, one of these operations in the refugee camps. Yeah? Okay.
Thank you.
It's during the World Cup. And 2, 3, 4 days on the road. And today there is a very great match, Brazil against, I don't remember exactly who else. Don't we deserve to watch the game? Yes or no? You tell me.
No.
Of course, yes. Working so hard, 4 days on the feet, Thank God the company officer is a fan of Brazil. So we stop the operation, go out to the street, look for a house with a satellite dish. This house has a satellite dish. Bump into the house, knock the family in the basement, watch the game, finishes, leave the house, continue the operation. It's not. Yeah?
Did you want to show us something there?
No, I can show on, more and more photos of it. But yeah, this is a grocery store in Jenin. Right? 2002, you're in an operation in Jenin. Ran out of water. Now, water is something you need, right? Send 2 soldiers on the APC. On the way to the refugee camp, there was a grocery store to the right. Go, break in. Give us only water. Nothing more. Only water. The APC backs into the shop, breaks the wall. Go, water. But then there are cigarettes. Now, we're already 2 weeks in the operation. No one has cigarettes left. Well, you're not going to take cigarettes.
You would.
And Coke,
Yeah.
No? Tell me.
Sure. You can see it.
And you grab a photo,
Yeah.
a nice photo. Yeah? Half of the shop is in your APC.
Yeah.
And I can go, that's the thing, with the individual things, we can go on for...
But there's no discipline for that.
Have you driven once before a yellow Palestinian taxi?
No.
It's really cool. You don't have a photo like this in Europe, right? So they come to the checkpoint. You send everyone out and take it for a ride. Isn't it fun? Again, I'm not going to take you to the gross things. No blood today. I'm not interested in it. There is also that, but this is not the story. Yeah, it's...
Clinton, I don't want to interrupt you guys in terms of...
Yeah, this is in our exhibit, in our further exhibit, in all our exhibits, there's a collection of Palestinian car keys. What is the story here? During my service, I was reading. You heard about Guido Levy?
Yes.
I was reading Guido Levy. He has this column in Haaretz, the Twilight Zone. Every weekend he brings another horror story from the occupied territories, and I would read it. It was 5-6 months before the end of my service. I was a deputy company sergeant. We'd come to a new barracks. The week before, there was a story about this Palestinian village up in the north and the West Bank. There's a checkpoint, there's a yellow line the soldiers put on the road, and every Palestinian car that crosses the line without a permit, without being allowed from the soldiers, they confiscate their car keys and dry them out for a few hours in the sun before they're allowed to cross. And you read the story of this guy, the story of that guy, and that guy, nothing serious, just tell you. And then you get to the IDF spokesperson response. Confiscation of car keys is illegal. Never happened. If it happened, we'll investigate. If it happened, it's probably an exceptional case, blah, blah, blah. I replaced the unit. Yeah, it's the days that we're coming in to the barracks. As a deputy company sergeant, I would sign for the barracks. So I need to go through all the things that are in. The amount of trailers, the amount of, the APC there, the cars, the kitchen, everything, the stoves. We count everything in the military, yeah? Tables and chairs and beds and mattresses. And one of the things I go, in the control room, I go through a box of almost 100 car keys and ask, what is it? This is here from this checkpoint here. And just my instinct told me, take it with you. Took it. 1 month, 1 checkpoint. And that's the ones they bothered to bring back into the box and didn't throw out. It never happens. It's an exceptional case. And if it happened, we would investigate.
Yehuda, you mentioned something also last time. That was the second one that kept ringing in my head. Was you said we saw our role. This is when you co-founded Breaking the Silence. We felt that we needed to hold a mirror up in front of Israeli society to say, this is what we are doing in your name.
Mm-hmm.
Those were, I think, your exact words.
Maybe.
10 years later, and this is, I think, from someone who lives a very, very long way away. Has Israeli society looked in that mirror? Have you been? What's the measure of success here? Are you seeing progress? Are you seeing people? Have you become more mainstream? You were, when you first started, and you were threatened with court martial. You were threatened with a lot of nasty things. How has that progressed?
No, I don't think we became more mainstream. I think exactly the opposite. When we started, we were fresh veterans right out of the military. There was not much you can tell us. Apart from very far away in the radical right, no one could tell us anything. Today, we're a political group. Yeah, we're part of the political conversation, and that means people are way more hostile than then.
Right.
But again, it makes sense. I think it's fine. That's part of the game. Yeah, if you don't have a thick skin, don't go into politics. But what is our success? Look, we can go for hours and talk about things. But there is one thing I would say. If you would come to me 10 years ago and tell me that today I'll be sitting here after 950 plus people broke their silence, I would probably laugh in your face. And that's 950 people that their story is out there, that they broke the silence, they understood what they've done, and have decided to take a step against it. And that's more than zero before. But your question also brings me to a different thing, and that is, I don't believe Israeli society is a game changer. I think when we look at Israel and Palestine, there's many mistakes we do. I don't think we tend to be mature enough in the way we look at things here. This is the idea, or I'll put it in a different way. Never before in history, as far as I know, a group of people who had privileges woke up in the morning and decided to give up their privileges. That's not how the world works. And to think that we are going to change. As an Israeli organization, 90+% of our work is done here because that's how we think our job, that's how we see ourselves, and that's what our job should be. But it doesn't mean we don't do it because we think that's a game changer. We do it because that's our job as an Israeli group, to work and change our own society.
Are you succeeding, or is it getting more difficult?
It's of course difficult, and I think
Is it getting more difficult though?
Yeah, it's more difficult. But again, there's an old saying in Pirkei Avot, in a Jewish old religious text telling of our fathers. It says, "Lo alecha melecha ligmor v'nata ashar libatel mimena." If I translate it freely, it says, "It's not for you to finish a job, but it doesn't mean that you can take time off."
Yes. Rabbi Tarfon.
Yeah, it's very simple.
So you don't see change coming from Israel? You think it has to come from outside?
What is the game changer, in other words?
I think Palestinians are a game changer. I think if Palestinians will not take their rights, we'll never give it to them. Rights is not something you get, I think. Rights is something you take.
Sovereignty is always taken, never given.
It's just, I don't... Again, as an Israeli group, I think our job is here for two main reasons. For one thing that has two implications. And that one thing is to maintain, preserve, and grow as much as possible, as significant as possible, a Jewish minority within Israel that will welcome the end of the occupation. So when Palestinians start to take their rights in the right way, we'll support. And when transition comes, our size will be crucial to how this transition will go. Because transition out of these realities not always goes to the good. Sometimes it becomes worse. So I think our size and our society will be crucial. Yeah, and that's why most of the work of Breaking the Silence is here. Yeah, or more accurately say there, because we're not in Israel now. Yeah, but But that's not to say that Israeli society is the game changer. No.
So I'm trying to understand, though. You've said that it's become more difficult. Is that because the political atmosphere is more hostile to what you're saying in terms of?
I think it's a lot of reasons. It's a lot of reasons. It's first of all because Israeli society was brutalized by the Second Intifada, just like Palestinian society. Yeah, the Second Intifada was a catastrophe. Didn't help anyone. Because we don't have the political left is crushed in Israel. There's no leadership. Because we can go on, yeah, in the list with a lot of reasons. And because I would argue that it was always this way. But we lived a bit in a fata morgana. We lived in an illusion. And that's why it didn't seem this way. You know, there's a huge difference between my generation of activists and the 1990s. You will not hear, as far as I know, you will not hear any activist in my age, my generation, that will tell you that he's a peace activist. We were against the occupation. I'm an anti-occupation activist. Because to be in favor of peace is very easy. Everyone's, who's not in it? Naftali Bennett and Bibi Netanyahu are in favor of peace, right?
Indeed.
Yeah, also, Hamas is in favor of peace. Yeah? The story is not whether you're in favor of peace. The story is whether you're against occupation. Whether you believe that Palestinians deserve to have exactly the same rights that you have. Not 1 millimeter more, not 1 millimeter less.
But is the consensus is it because people are more comfortable in Israel? The economy is going reasonably
Today,
okay?
of course. Today, the occupation is in the best situation ever. Yeah, with the burden of the occupation, with the economic crisis, economy is. Security-wise, thank God, buses are not exploding. Politically, there's no price, so most of Israelis walk with the feeling if it ain't broken, why fix it? That's for sure.
Very crucial statement, that is. Really.
Yes. And what about, excuse me for not knowing this, have you give evidence before the US Congress, or have you spoken to them?
U.S. Congress, what does it matter? Do you really think members of Congress vote according to what they know?
Some of us tried it.
In the U.S., I'm talking.
Yeah.
I didn't go to Australia. I don't know enough the political scene in Australia. But, you know, we met few U.S. congressmen and women, yeah, but this is not, you know, you want to change policies in the U.S., change 85 million people and 20,000 millionaires who donate money and probably. This is not our job. This is the job of U.S.-based groups.
The EU has been the voice of reason from your point of view? The European Union?
I would definitely say that the European Union is more closer to be an honest broker than the U.S. I think the U.S., the impact of the U.S. here is catastrophic. I don't think they're contributing anything good. And I'm on the record saying that. I just, I think, look, the imbalance of power between both sides, Israelis and Palestinians, is so huge. So when you walk into the room with this kind of imbalance of power, the desired outcome is surrender. And no agreement that will come that is based on Palestinian surrender is sustainable and reasonable. The only way we will be able to move on is if both sides have dignity. Palestinians will never surrender. There's many bad things to say about Palestinians. They've done many mistakes. They're not going to surrender. And the idea that forever they will agree to live under our fists is just insane. This is not how we'll reach peace. And when the U.S. walks into the table with so biased positions, it just contributes to the imbalance of power. Yeah?
So what John Kerry is doing is counterproductive?
Look, I was against negotiations. I was against the Kerry initiative from the first day. Because I think that what John Kerry did is he destroyed the Israeli left, he destroyed the Palestinian moderate camp, and he helped the Israeli right to put more obstacles to peace. I'll explain why. Let's go one by one.